What is happening, everybody? All right. Ooh, I got strings and all kinds of stuff. So we are doing a Jumanji birthday party for Xander here in a couple of weeks, and my wife has got all kinds of crazy things planned for us. We got different masks for all the different characters, and I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So should be fun. The kids will be excited. We've got a bunch of his classmates coming over and family and some other friends, and it's going to be a good time. She always puts together one heck of a party, and you'll see some pictures and videos. I'm sure she goes way above and beyond what I think is considered normal. But hey, it's Tuesday night. Another episode. Thanks for joining, everybody. How many people have been out in the boat so far? I know I took mine up to Geiger's today. There's a few different things that they got to touch up on, some warranty issues on my gel coat. But for the most part, she's cleaned up. She's ready to go. Rods are spooled, and it's time to go fishing in the boat. These couple next few days here, any ice that we were walking out on, it's really starting to sink. We had one bay that we were still able to get out and do some perch fishing, but the crack opened up, made it a lot, really dangerous to get anything out. Was able to jump it with a snowmobile, but now that is going to be pretty much done for. I think one of my buddies is still going to go out and they're going to try and walk out tomorrow, but probably not a good idea. I don't think I just walked outside and came to the boathouse and it was, balmy outside. So it's going to stay warm, and next few days is going to stay warm, and should be good. Get rid of this ice and let's just forget about this season and move on and do some open water fishing. I'm ready for it. Tomorrow, my guess is we're going to hit the river. The boat is hooked up, ready to go, and yep, Dan. I'm going to check things out here tomorrow, and we could be fishing as early as Thursday, Friday. If we find something decent, we'll be able to start taking guys out in the boat. The Wolf, the Fox, and Oshkosh, Fox River and Oshkosh, and that too. I know there's piles of fish loaded up on the Wolf. Guys are catching a lot of walleyes. I'm sure we could find those white bass that stayed in there all year as well. And I can't believe that there's no walleyes coming through Oshkosh and Winneconne and stuff right now too. The biggest thing that you have to watch out for right now is ice, especially on the Wolf River. Anytime the lakes, whether it be partridge or partridge crop or any of that kind of stuff starts to break free, you can get stuck, and it can be pretty bad. Timmy just said Oshkosh should open up again today. Good. So that's kind of what happens is, on these warm days now, and we get any bit of wind. I drove across Winneconne today, and Clark's was all busted up ice, all starting to head down the river. And you just got to be careful, because I can remember in years past when we were kids too, going out early before the lakes, broke apart, and all of a sudden you get a big shove that comes down, jams up the bridge, and there you sit. Then you got no place to get back, and scrambling to try and figure out where to go with the boat. So, just be smart if you're going to do it. Let's see, AJ, Wolf is the lowest I've ever seen. So I guess let's just dive right into that. We're just going to start right with that. I know a lot of people commented on the post I put the other day about how science is this and science is that, and all this data that they have, that they're monitoring the levels and stuff daily. That's all fine and dandy, guys, but it is honestly the lowest anybody's ever seen the river. We were measuring, water to the docks. I've never seen the boat ramp in Fremont where you can actually see the pilings in the water, or down in the bottom, in the mud. It's getting pretty close to being, I don't even know if you could launch in Fremont by the bridge, because the ramp runs out. I don't know if a guy could even, really get a big boat in there right now. And it's, there's no end in sight. We don't have any really precipitation coming. We don't have any, melting or snow runoff. I'm starting to get a little concerned. Now, last year, look what happened last year, though. We got all that rain, and the water came up. It started off super low, and then it came up, and it was, super high. So I know things can change pretty rapidly, and I'm sure we'll get some precipitation in March and April. We always do. Guys, this is way out of the norm. We are in February. You just remember that, February. We should have, 2 feet of ice. We should be driving vehicles. We shouldn't be thinking about, pruning trees, planting gardens, and, fishing out of a boat, for, the extended future. Totally out of the ordinary, and it's crazy for certain. The people looking to get out, places are starting to get a lot of questions on where guys can go out fishing, or where can you fish open water. And growing up in Menasha, some of my favorite places to fish when we were kids, and even now as an adult, driving and going up to Little Lake Butamore, the over in Neenah, and some of the shore fishing spots, in Menasha off of Taco Street and that there, are great places to get the kids out right now. The Neenah Dam, the Menasha Dam, go cast for some walleyes and perch. I know the perch fishing this time of the year is absolutely on fire. Back over by like the Neenah Slough, over by the locks, by the tissue mill, or where the tissue mills used to be, offshore there by that dock. You've got the little turnaround over by off of Taco Street. A lot of great places to go and start fishing right now. Open water stuff. Just get yourself some small worms, or even some small minnows and some slip bobbers, and just go start fishing from shore. You guys are going to catch a bunch of perch for sure. Other spots, you've got the whole river in Oshkosh, all the T docks. I can't believe that people, if you went out right now and started fishing around the T docks, my bet would be that you start getting some perch. I think with what's happening in what we've seen on the upper lakes, here just over the last week and how much that's gone down. It's really changed fishing. These fish are in patterns and stuff. They're a month ahead of schedule, it seems like, and I don't know what that's going to do. You've got the trees are starting to blossom. We've got flowers starting to grow. These fish are getting ready to staging to start spawning. And what's going to happen when we get all this warm weather, stuff warms up, stuff starts happening, and then we get massive cold front and a bunch of snow, and shuts everything down. We're seeing geese, we're seeing swans coming back, different some of the waterfowl. I seen robins in the pine trees in the front yard. So all this early spring stuff, I think it could play some, it could be havoc for us here in a few more weeks if all of a sudden Mother Nature decides to kind of normalize. But in the short term, it's awesome, right? We're in the 50s, the next few days, couple cool days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but then right back up into the 50s again next week. So, I don't know what to do. Ice fishing's done though. All the stuff is getting put away, trailers washed, all the gear's getting put back in the trailer, and shacks are already stored over at Nofke's. Thanks for him for making room for me. Really saves on having to travel and move those things around. He charges $60 a year to pull up your shack and leave it sit, and then he moves it back to where he needs to go. And then come fall, when we're ready to get it back out on the ice next year, he'll have it ready for us, and hopefully we'll have ice early and we can drag them out there with ATVs or whatnot. But so yeah, it's officially over for me, and it's going to be sales seasons, trying to get all the stuff going here for all the companies we work for in the fishing world. A lot of awesome new products to show guys, and excited to get that going. And then spring fishing, we've got the walleyes. I think we're going to have a really good perch, early bite, and and we'll slowly migrate into panfish, and then obviously once April, May, it's going to be full blown walleye fishing in the rivers and getting up to Green Bay, O'Connell, Swamico, Peshtigo, all the bigger fish spots, and some eater fish on the Wolf River and the Fox River down here in Oshkosh. And then my favorite time of the year for getting people on fish, white bass season. Starting to book a lot of trips already for that. So if you guys are looking to get out, I always tell people that Mother's Day to Father's Day on this system is usually pretty lights out. You can't beat it for everything. Memorial Day through that Mother's Day to Memorial Day, you've got the white bass, and then the crappies and the walleyes are starting to go out on Winnebago. And there's usually a little bit of everything. But who's to say that this doesn't, the 60s just stays around? Are we truthfully going to be a month ahead? Are we going to have spawn in March? Enlighten me, guys. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. Let's see a couple comments. Little Bay is even sketchy. So we had a guy out with us here that lives up in Escanaba. And he said the ice was still fine. Guys were doing pretty good up there. And I believe they were going out fishing today. So, Little Bay or Big Bay, I know they said the ice was still pretty good. So I don't know if that's everywhere, but, that was just talking to him. Aaron says, went to the Fox last week and the vertical jig bite was okay. Caught a dozen in a couple hours. Casting bite was very slow, going again Thursday. So Aaron, when you were up there, how much current did you guys have? Because, you got to look at coming from Menasha, really the first sets of the dams, they got 5 gates, I believe, in Menasha and 2 in Neenah that are open. And I would assume that that's kind of the same all the way down through the system to get to the pier. Just curious to see what the current's like. That's going to, I think, be the biggest problem for us, is that these fish, there's no current in the Wolf. I mean, it's like slow to nothing. and the deep holes, and are these fish going to be sitting in those deep holes the whole time? They're going to be coming up. I don't know. I've never really fished this early in the Wolf River, and it'll be interesting to see where these fish are kind of set up. I know when I was out there checking on my snowmobile here just a couple of weeks ago, they were right pretty much where we left them last fall. They really hadn't moved very far. So if that's the case, I think it should be pretty fun to go in there. Now, I know guys are catching a bunch of them, but they're all those like 12 to 13, 14 inches. So a lot of those small males. And just be good guys. Don't sit there and just absolutely rate those things. Let a few of them go. As much as easy it is to go out there and pretty much whack on them, I think we're going to really have to conserve how many we keep. Until stuff really starts moving around, because this guy thing is going to be like catching fish out of a barrel here. Um, Bago ices weeds, powder slamming, and draining their stuff. um, Randy, when using the boat now and a big hard freeze happens, should a guy be doing anything with the boat and motor? Well, great question. Yeah, I mean the question is yes, I should say the answer is yes. Anytime you get your boat in the water, a few things that people really overlook. One, obviously you got to drain it. Make sure you pull your live well or your all your live wells. Make sure you got your drain plug pulled out, and always take your motor, lower it all the way down, and if you can, if you got an air gun or something like that, blow the water, because a lot of times what happens, and just from working in the marine industry and seeing winter damage, is guys will leave their motors tilted up. They come out of the water, they leave all that water sitting there, and that water gets into your housing and kind of lays there, or it may form around where your seals are, and any little bit of expansion, can either crack a housing or push some seals, and cause some serious damage that way. So uh, always drain, lower your motor all the way down. You don't have to start it, guys. That's kind of an old myth. These motors are meant to drain water, as long as they're tilted down. Starting them and firing them up really doesn't do a whole lot of anything. So, one of those kind of old wives' tales as far as having to do that. Make sure you're draining, anything that has water in it, though. Like I say, your live wells. Take an air gun, or go to, Quick Trip or any place that you got some air, and just give it a squirt down your drain. Because a lot of these newer boats have these, mechanisms or these valves. You don't want to get water in there and freeze it and, break any of the plastic. So blowing the water out, draining the water out is a good idea. If you can't, get some marine, some of that pink antifreeze, and just dump it in your drains, and try and get as much in there as you possibly can. Any of the plastic housings that you'd have to worry about, the ice expanding and cracking stuff. On your main pumps, again, I know before I really had anything, I just go behind the boat and just put my mouth around and blow, a little bit of air out, just to clear the impeller and the housing part, and just to help prevent any cracking or anything like that. As far as your motor and that kind of stuff goes, you don't have to winterize it, or do any oil or anything like that, or anything special there. Just make sure that during these cold temps right now, that you're putting some sort of additive, a power tune, or something on that end that helps. If you are running any bit of ethanol, it's going to help absorb that ethanol, and not allow that condensation to build up when we go from warm to cold. That's really what happens more so than anything. Is gas tanks aren't full, try and keep your gas tanks full. Less condensation can form in there, and it's really just trying to prevent any water into the system. So other than that, drain your trailers. Make sure you don't have water collecting in the trailers and whatnot. Again, less stuff likes to expand. Keep them damn boats in the shed going north. West, buddy, I don't think there's going to be much up north here after next week either. I was talking to my buddies up north in northern Minnesota, and they were in the 50s, and they've got 60s coming. That it's going to be, I think, getting close to Gonzo everywhere. Maybe after next week, 2 weeks of high 50s, mid to high 50s is pretty unheard of, even for the far Northwoods. So. Um, I'm praying because we know it's not over. That's the thing is we know we're going to get slammed, in March and April. We always do. It'll just be make for some interesting pictures when we've got a foot or two of snow in the boats while we're out fishing. Have to bring some shovels. Jeff said I had water get trapped in the live well plumbing and crack the line. Yeah, that's the number one thing is just to make sure you're blowing out all any spot that holds water and should be go. Hey, I got one last. Yeah, you know, uh, as much as I'd love to, if it's going to be this nice out, I can fish, in the boat and not have to worry about, falling through. I think you're going to see some major changes here in the next couple of days, and if we get any rain too, that's just going to do a bunch of damage as well. Bob, Chico's ramp, I think does it's a little bit steeper too, so you can still get a boat off. And then I think down by the bank, downtown at the bank, that's a lot steeper too. But I didn't look close enough. I'll go out there here, I'm sure, either tomorrow or the next day and be able to tell right away. Ray, on these big boats, it's probably not that much of a deal, but I can tell you, I capsized the boat or took on a bunch of water one year duck hunting, and all that weight of that extra snow getting wet and everything else and then freezing was making that boat pretty one-sided, and it'll definitely cause some issues if you're in a smaller boat. You get a little tippy, but also we had like I don't know, 15 dozen decoys, two dogs, three guys. It was maybe a little overweight to begin with. So, um, Randy, no sense, if you don't have a spot or you don't want to do the little bit of extra work, that's fine. Keep it in storage. But if you're itching to get out, man, fishing this time of the year really get, it's only going to get harder the more people go out that start getting pressure or whatever in spots. So it's going to make it harder. But not a whole lot of guys have their boats and stuff out yet, and that's why it's nice to get out. The rivers aren't going to be so crowded. So we've kind of talked about the Fox and Oshkosh, the perch fishing, T docks, up by the Needham and Asha Dam, the Nina Slough, Little Lake Butamore. A couple of the other really good spots to target. Obviously, the Fox River and De Pere. There's no secret really up there. The bigger fish will typically start to move in. Once the bay is starting to warm up and the water temperatures are right, you got the right current. It's typically that mid March or so, but again, what's to say that it doesn't happen sooner? I mean, if we start getting some 60-degree days and it stays that way, 2 weeks of that, 3 weeks of that, I bet we'd be looking at some fish starting to think about spawning. I don't know how that all works, if it's, timing and temperature, or if temperature plays, a major part in it. That's something I guess the biologist will have to answer. Speaking of that, I did talk to Ben Trimmel from up by Green Bay, the captain for the DNR. He is working with me to try and get a warden on to do a Q&A session. I hope it goes through. And that would be a great time to have questions ready for them and do a Q&A with one of the wardens here for local, or just one of the Watomo wardens, but I'm sure they can answer everything for everybody. So that'll be nice to get that going. Let's see. Plenty of biology, yeah, plenty of biologists, plenty of scientists, plenty of physicists. All kinds of experts on here lately. Let's see. Snowball fights in the boats. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have some snow in the boats this year. No question about that. Um, who is going down to the Dells and doing any fishing down there? That can be another great spot. West Bay announced that Donnie Burton has absolute best fish spraying ever made. Get a hold of him and try this stuff out. All right, Wes, I'll have to check it out. Where's he from? Um, the Dells is one of those things where you can really fish there all year long. Very seldom are there years where guys aren't fishing that 12 months out of the year. Um, that it's a crowded spot, but it's definitely spots you can go and get your 100 fish days if you really wanted to. A lot of fish to be caught, a lot of fun. It's usually where most guys go. February when we're still ice fishing up here and the Fox, isn't open yet up into Pier. A lot of guys will go and dump in down by the Dells, and it's definitely a fun time. Definitely a great way to dust off the rods and set some eyes. But um, that's you got the Dells, and then the Rock River, down by my buddy Brian. That's always a good early bite. From sounds of it, talked to him here a couple weeks ago. Sounds like they've been fishing there for quite a while as well. I think they had their ice fishing jamboree or whatnot, and guys were actually registering fish from the boat, from what I understood. So, kind of a little unique deal there as well. Um, Does Mirror Lake count? Ray, what's that? I don't. So, how did anybody surgeon spearing? How did you guys all do? How many people went out? I just chose not to go. We didn't put any of the shacks out. Just to just didn't pay to go through all that work and maybe get 1 or 2 days to go and sit without having to do any really reconnaissance out there. We were seeing some fish on Mega Live while we were out ice fishing, and I knew a few guys that had shacks over there, but nobody was seeing them while they were sitting in the shack. So who knows? Maybe I missed my chance. Still hoping the DNR might do something for us that had to kind of waste our 9-year tags from Poigan. And yeah, I don't know. Who knows? They say they're working on it or checking into it, but that'll never happen from them. Let's see. Wes, I didn't take the shack out. It was nice. I had my ATV all year because my water pump housing on my snowmobile was warped and I was leaking antifreeze and overheating all the time. So it took them a while to figure it out, and it took them a while to get the part. And then once I got that done, then I had my snowmobile, and I won't explore and go, rogue on my ATV just because if you hit soft spots, you're not going across them. You're going to sink. With my snowmobile, I really don't care where I go. I'll go, check open water and check spots out. Um, and now that I got that back, I just kind of ripped around the lake and got to one area where I started getting over kind of center part of the, I guess, more so south of Indian Point, just a little ways. And as I'm driving, I could see the wave of ice kind of building in front of me. And so I really just slowed on the throttle, stopped, and made a really slow turn and made sure I wasn't sinking, and hightailed it out of there. You're not going to do that with a four wheeler. Four wheeler, that happens, you're going down. Um, so yeah, Try hold a low water, no current effect, spring run, more fish spawning in the lake. Tim, that's going to be a great question. There are a lot of males in the river right now. I know some females, and that went up too. But with no current, no water, these fish can't get into the marshes. So what happens then? Well, if the current's not drawing them up, a lot of them will just end up spawning out in the lake. And there's a pretty good high success rate, for the lake spawners out here. It's not as what's the word I'm looking for? The variances, from the river can really affect the hatch, whereas the lake may not cool as fast like what we had last year. But if we got a low water year and these fish are having to spawn in the rocks or any a bit of weeds, that they can get into, the water temperature is really going to play I think a huge factor this year. Um, yeah, Bob, I don't think you're going to be able to get past Wyawega. Once you start getting up, I can only imagine what that looks like right now. I mean, up north of, like Goose and down through Wylands, that's got to be just a couple feet wide in some spots with how low it is. I think maybe that's be a good trip to go and do some exploring and see if how high or how far the river is open. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody any further north than like New London and that. If everything is all busted off and coming down, it'd be interesting to see how low and what that river really looks like. Wolf gonna look like the Peshkal. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I think we're gonna find a lot of things, and I think boats are gonna find a lot of wood. Hopefully, guys don't do too much damage. But here again, guys, we're speculating the unknown, and obviously we don't have any water right now. But if we get a little bit of rain here, some serious storms coming, it'll hopefully correct itself in time. But we shall see. Anybody and everybody can tell you that nobody can predict the weather, and I'm not going to be the one to say that we're going to have a wet spring. Um, yeah, we have. I mean, again, it's February. February. We've got all of March and April. My birthday is on the 21st of April, same day as Mr. Tiffany's. And Ray can contest. We have had snow on our birthdays for like the last 7 or 8 years, either a day before or on our birthday or whatnot. But yeah, we're still in for some doozy storms, I think. Yeah, it's got to balance itself out. It'll be interesting. Let's see. We were supposed to get Justin on. He was on an offshore trip. Let me just check in with him and see if he can make it. He's down in Florida. He went and did an offshore trip, so I'm sure he got off the water late. And I texted him here a little while ago, and he said he made it back, and he was still on the road heading to the house. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, that there's another topic we haven't really started on yet is turkey hunting. I know anybody been out shed hunting at all? I talked to my dad and my brother finally found one shed, but my dad said that all the bucks out by him or out by the hunting land yet still are carrying their antlers. So it's pretty crazy to think that they're still getting still have their antlers on here. Let's see. Some of the guys over on Instagram here are messaging me. Um, Best day of spec fishing in my life today. Awesome, man. All right. Sorry, I was just trying to see what all the messages were on Instagram. Ray, you guys have your cameras out? I canceled my camera, so I haven't been watching. But my dad was over the other night or the other day, and we were just talking and said that a lot of the bucks out by him are still carrying their antlers. That's crazy. So I guess couple of things coming up this weekend. You've got the Green Bay fishing show up at the Resch Center. You've got the boat show, a boat and RV show at the EAA grounds in Oshkosh. I will be there Sunday. Um, and then you've got the Madison Fishing Expo down in Madison. So lots of things happening around Wisconsin this weekend. Um, Anybody going to any of the shows? So Bob, yeah, it does have something to do with their non-existent winter. Brother-in-law says deer are shedding their winter coat already, and the lake here is more water than ice, sinking complete ice out Thursday. Um, Ray's down in Madison. Who are you down there for, Ray? All right. Guy by Gills caught a few walleyes, some small ones. Hey, Pat, did you have a chance to check? Were you up by Gills at all to see, how the ramps in that are? Can you guys even get boats in there? Sorry, Ray. Oh, it's probably because I got my earbuds on. Sorry, I was just having some cashews. Sorry, guys. All right, Kurt, you guys are going to. All right. Um, no, guys, the EAA RV camper boat show is this weekend, February 23rd through the 25th at the EAA Convention Center or at all the hangars. So, Pat, I know the ramps are clear, but are they still in the water? Can a guy launch a boat? Tim, you got to remember these fish, right, would typically be at the mouth of the river right now. And I guarantee you, if you went up and jigged out in front of the Coke plant, or trolled small, slow baits, I bet you could catch fish all day long down in Oshkosh right now. Hey, Sue. Right now, if you went and checked the T docks in Oshkosh, right there at Rainbow Park, I'm pretty sure you probably start picking a few perch up around those docks. That, or as soon as like Miller's Bay, by Menominee Park, as soon as that all those bays and stuff start opening up, those are great spots to get out and get yourself some rocket bobbers and your Zebco, and you'll be just fine. Yeah, Tim, that I know it was. I'm trying to think. It was a couple years ago. We had an early ice out at the mouth, and I had just picked up my boat and went out by the tech there in Oshkosh and launched. Went out, got out in front of the carp pond or the coke plant, and just watching side imaging. There were schools of fish everywhere. And we didn't fish, but yeah, that out in front of the Oshkosh can be incredible if you can get out there in a boat. Yeah, ice fishing Friday on my motorcycle Saturday. Um, it's Wisconsin, man. Okay. Well, so Pat said there were three guys at launch. It's kind of a pain since the docks aren't in, but it's very manageable. Was at Chico's 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I bet Chico's probably going to be. I'm sure there'll be some people here the next couple days with how warm it's supposed to be. But then again, how many people really have their boats out? Um, and, I'm fortunate that we got the big shed to have it inside and, really don't winterize it. So it's always ready to go. But I know a lot of people got their boats stored and shrink wrapped and still, that's some of the boat places I drove by, they dumped all their snow there. So they got huge snow piles that normally would, melt, come March, April, and then May when they want to get the boats out. But guys that want to get out fishing here, they've got 5, 6, 7 feet of snowbanks yet still in front of their boats, and they're not going to be able to get them out here for a while. Just reading through comments, guys. Sorry. Yeah, Sue, that's where the guys are right now. Where you fished a few years ago there by Nina, that's a great spot. A lot of fish being caught there right now. Just up the road from there, where Theta Clark Hospital is, the Nina Dam, right along the fence. That's another great spot. Guys go and catch a lot of nice perch there too. So you're kind of in the right, in the right area. And then if you're ever down by Oshkosh, just look for Menominee Park and that whole bay that's there fishing around the shorelines and on the bridge that can be really good for panfish too. So yeah, all great places. Everybody's pretty quiet tonight. What's good on TV? Some of the private messages. Oh, these guys are crazy. Who's watching? Oh, so Ray's watching porn. Of course he would be, Ray. Midgets probably. Um, Tim says, when I was in college during spring break, went over to Lake Puckaway, got there, shore was gone. Had to take my pants off and wade out to the ice, climb up on it, and get fishing. It was a great day. Got a heck of a sunburn. I was over St. Patty's. Yeah. So that's funny, Tim. My wife, the first year I was dating her, I have one lake that I'm still, that's probably what I should do tomorrow is go and check it. But I just have a feeling it's probably already gone. But there's one lake I have to go out and do the same thing. Take the pants off, get up to your knees in water, climb on the ice and put everything back on, and then you can walk and go. And I brought my wife along with. I'm like, okay, we're gonna try this. And every time I try and step on to the ice, once I got back up on it, it would just kept going down, and it wouldn't have been too many more steps, and I would have been over my head. So she thought I was crazy, and that's kind of what us ice fishermen do: is swim a little bit to get back up on the ice, and get to some of the best late ice fishing you can possibly have. Um, let's see. Yeah, Pat says great advice, and we were kind of talking about that earlier too. Freezing temps at night. If you're going out in the mornings, don't be the guy that you know lets her rip and pulls out of the water at 100 miles an hour and ices up the landing. Just that drives me crazy. Pull up just a little bit, get the trailer just out of the water, let most of your water drain, and then pull away. Um, just makes a nightmare for trying to back boats in. That's another great tip too, guys. If you are going out this time of the year, keep a bag of sand with you. It really helps at the landings. When guys are getting crazy and dragging water all over the place when it's this cold. Just a little bit of extra sand, get that traction, and or a bag of salt, or whatever you have, um, whatever works. Oh, Ray, something else. Oh man, funny, funny. Ray, when do you come back home? Thursday. All right. Well, if the fish are biting, you want to jump in, um, and go get some dinner. That's what my goal is, to get dinner for Friday. That's my goal this week, is to find something to eat. Let's see what else. Bassmaster Classic. Um, yeah, not all the time, Jared. Sometimes that algae can be pretty nasty. I've watched a lot of guys, stop, and front tires are on ice and back tires are in the water on the algae, and they just keep right on going until the trailer hits something. So back to Bassmaster Classic. Let's see, I think it's the 22nd of March, I believe. We'll be heading down there. I'm pretty excited for that one. That one's going to be a lot of fun. Never been to one, and with having all of um, sorry, I just got distracted. My friend sent me a message that Remington Arms, the gun maker, is the first one to announce that they're pulling out of New York. Interesting. Hope there might be a bunch more to follow suit. Oh, all right, Ray. Yeah, I'll text you. There was a guy that had some RV doors, really good for ice shanties. Um, that was going to see if I don't know how far you were, you'd be able to pick it up, but I'll give you a holler tomorrow. Well, so yeah, Tim, you know, going back to what Tim was saying as far as wading out to water and getting back on the ice, and Those days, those were always the best days. It was always getting back. You get out again in the morning, it would firm up, and you get out there, and just kind of like some of the ices right now, where looks good. You walk on it in the morning, it's fine. There's still 8 inches, but then as soon as that sun starts warming it up just a little bit, and you start getting that water running through all those little micro cracks, and pretty soon it just becomes this giant, I don't even know how, like a water bed. You're just walking on a water bed, and you punch through one of those, and it's like falling through, like a tempered glass. Just millions of little pieces. You just kind of fall through it. I can remember living on the lake and doing that when we were kids, getting out on the ice and running around. Busting through all the crystals of ice and swimming through it, and you get a hot April day, and we're out, swimming around in the lake, under the ice, over the ice. That was a lot of fun living on the lake. Ah, Jeepers. Ray says he's been hearing rumors that the trout have already begun to move up off the lake. Um, Back then, we would have to use extensions. Can't remember the last year that was needed. Well, I think it was like 2016 or 2017. We needed extensions out on Winnebago. Some spots we were, if when the snow was on the ice, we were burying the power heads. It wasn't that long ago that we needed them out there. I know I was running 18-inch extensions drilling through my trailers because I could not drill through the trailer while we were driving around out there. I do remember that. But yeah, it's well, I'm trying to think. Was it 3 or 4 years ago? Just right there before COVID. We were pretty darn close to needing them out on Poigan there too. It was pretty thick. It's just I think COVID messed the whole world up. It changed the weather too. We had any other questions? Well, gentlemen and women, I think I am going to. So I don't want to get into politics. I'd love to do, I was just thinking of this the other day is starting a political fishing channel. But I know, I'd have to wear a mask every day because people would realize it would be me. It wouldn't be a good thing probably, but um, the uh, I seen a message now. If you're wanting to go donate blood to the American Red Cross, um, the one of the questions and concerns they have is if you had the vaccine and if it was safe and everything. Why would they be asking that? So I don't know. Kind of some crazy stuff, I guess, happening right now. Question, Troy and women, do you ever go out and just fish like night crawlers and the Wolf River rig and anchor up and see what happens? Um, right? In case you missed it, bud. How's that? You guys like this better, or should I take the mask back off? Oh, Raymond. So going back to Bob's question, yeah, I mean, sometimes simple is simple. Okay, so for anybody that wants to talk politics, we can stay on here and talk politics. Anybody that doesn't want to or is going to come back later and bash any of us, please exit now. Um, yeah, I agree, man. I think a lot of us would have a lot of agreements on stuff that's happening right now. All right, Bob. Sorry, keep getting distracted. Um, Yeah, Wolf River rigs. I prefer what's called the Dubuque rig, and we'll start getting into more of that tactics and showing you some techniques in that once we get closer. I am working on doing some video stuff for you guys, and be able to post more of that. Um, so Dubuque rigs, just a fly and a minnow, or just plain gold hook with a minnow or a leech on a three-way and a bell sinker. I mean, sometimes just easy and simple is better. uh, and you don't forget to get suppressors ordered to get them by season. Yeah, well, I don't have to worry about that because my guns don't fire anyway. I still dread and have nightmares of that stupid gun not. Uh, um, let's see, Jared. Excuse me, if you were to fish the wolf, do you use stinger hooks? I find they snag too much debris. Jared, I'm actually with you. Now, there's ways to hook minnows, and again, these are all going to be great tips. Fisher says never seen so mad. There's different ways to hook minnows, and the if you can get away with not using a stinger hook, please, I mean, all the better to you. But there's been days out there where I don't care how good a fisherman you are. Majority of the fish come on the stingers. They just bite light, and then I got the call. Not happy. What's that? Oh, yeah, got the call from deer hunting. Um, so stingers are they can be a necessity some days, and yes, it is going to pick up debris. And there's no really way around it. One thing I think a lot of guys use sometimes a little bit too big of a stinger. Kind of goes off of that whole number 20 thing that we talk about when we're ice fishing. And I I don't know. I've kind of one of those guys where I might like a little bit longer leader and a little bit smaller treble than what a lot of guys use. But I don't use them very much. I try not to. But then again, I also try and fish a lot more plastics than minnows. And that way there you can shorten up your tails, or shorten the body so your tails are closer to the hook, and better hooking percentage. So for my stingers, I'm using 18s, Bob. Yeah. All right. So just going through, I don't know if you guys can see comments in that as well. Um, but Jared said, yeah, I would only ask because they would be biting light. Water is still cold. Believe it or not, Jared, it's, so many times when you fish minnows, the fish a lot of times will come in and they might suck, three-quarters of it in. You feel that first bite, and then you can almost feel them like take that second bite when you're just real dragging the bottom. You gotta remember too, right now you're barely moving. I mean, you are literally almost ice fishing vertically. There's no current, and once you find these fish in these deeper holes, it's not like you're having to drift the current and have something come in. These fish can, sit there and look at that bait as it moves really slow, and they'll come in and just kind of coast with the whatever little currents there before they fully grab your bait. So that's one of the nice things too. With the low current, you don't need to use the stingers. Just slow, smaller jigs. You can get away with the 16th a lot of times, and just fish it slow. That's the easiest way to explain it, I guess. Jared says, use the draw tight stingers, put the minnow on first so it stays above the minnow. Always take the stinger off when putting a new minnow on. Yeah. So again, nice thing is the line for the stinger goes through the minnow, hooks onto your hook, and then that way there, the only way to catch the fish is have or only way to really lose the minnow is to make sure you catch the fish. They have to take the whole minnow off before they can get it off. So that's there's a million plastics out there. You've got Kitech, you've got Z-Man, the bee fishing, the Moxie minnows, the walleye assassins. I mean, there's so many different plastics that are out there. Um, I I really like the bee fishing stuff has always been or bee fishing stuff's always been really good. But the walleye assassin, a lot of paddle tails, and the Z-Man, a lot of the shad baits that Z-Man has are all all great plastics. Really, it comes down to size. If they're pretty aggressive and you're fishing a lot of current, obviously you want a longer bait, bigger bait, more of a wider wobble. And if you're casting in the shallows and being able to work a jig pretty easily or effectively, you can go down to a 3 inch versus a 4 inch or 2.5 inch or something smaller. Oh, okay. So, yeah, again, it depends on how we're fishing. If we're fishing a lot of current, I love using paddle tails. I personally have a lot of luck with them. But also just the straight grubs work really well too. The curls, you get, no matter how slow or fast you're going with the curl, you still get a lot of action. So, those work well. And, you know, but again, I'm a paddle tail guy. I don't know why. It's just one of those confidence things for me, and um, they seem to work pretty good. The trick is just finding some that are soft that you can fish them slow and still get the real good action and the roll. All right, Ray, get back to your porn, man. Yeah, Pat said lots of guys in Fremont 2 weeks ago were casting ripping wraps and blade baits, fish every cast. When they're stacked in there like that, Pat, um, it's like they almost look like white bass because they will start fighting for their baits. It doesn't matter when they're stacked. I mean, I don't know if you've been down there at all, but you look at what your side imaging looks like, and or we were down there on the snowmobiles looking with 360. It's unbelievable how many fish are sitting in some of these pockets. And when you're doing that, casting very fast, aggressive baits that they have to chase down and kind of compete, yeah, you're going to trigger reaction bites probably a lot better than you would, just hungry bites. The ripple shads, man, Bob, I love the ripple shads. Yep, white with the chartreuse tail for walleyes, and the white bass absolutely destroyed those things. And then the other one was the purple top, and then kind of the silver white or whatnot, like an Uncle Rico style. That was another good one. I'm really excited. Z-Man's got a lot of really nice plastics that we've taken them on last year was a blessing because working with these guys and hopefully get some walleye specific stuff coming out here too would be awesome to see. So that's gonna be a fun journey. So I'll spend a lot more time using a lot more Z-Man stuff here, and some of the different style bass stuff works great for these walleyes. It's gonna be fun this summer for sure. All right. Well, again, I think I am going to hit the rack, and we are going to go put the boat in the water and see if we can't find some walleyes. And maybe we'll do a live or something tomorrow midday for everybody at work, and we'll be waving at you, thinking about you behind the desk. All right. Well, with that, I will catch you guys next week. And if anybody's, yeah, please, if anybody is heading out on the ice anywhere, I think this weekend, just stay dry, man. Be safe, and don't risk your life for a stupid fish. Catch you guys next week, or maybe, like I say, we'll do a live or something out on the boat if we get into something, and we'll let you know how it's going. Jeff, I'm just scouting tomorrow. No clients. I'm gonna go out and make sure everything's good to go. So never want to bring somebody out on that first maiden voyage. All right. Thanks, Linda. Have a good evening, everybody, and we'll catch you guys next week. Cheers.